Hey, what's up, guys? I want to welcome you guys out to another episode of According to Kaz and Queen. And as always, I am Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And this is this little podcast of ours. These are conversations that happen between a husband and wife in the privacy of their own home that we bring to you guys here on YouTube and on all streaming services. Sometimes to make you laugh, sometimes to make you think, to be introspective. But most of all, we want to open the lines of communication between men and women, husbands and wives, friends and lovers, and all in between. Thank you guys for joining us. Of course, you can follow us on all streaming services. We are everywhere that you can hear podcasts. If this is your first time listening, of course, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Google Podcasts, Buzzsprout, wherever you might listen to your podcast. Of course, check out all of those streaming services. And if you like to see our bright, shiny faces, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel and you can see us on YouTube. When I put my finger right here, bam, that's where you go. Right there. All right. YouTube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin. YouTube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin. Make sure that you go and check out that YouTube page. There's a lot of dope content on there. A lot of good conversations, man. Go check out all of the previous episodes of According to Kaz and Queen. And make sure you're following us on all streaming services. Of course, you can also follow us on Black with No Chaser. All you got to do is download the Black with No Chaser radio app. That's BWNC radio app on the Google Play Store or the iTunes Store. All right. So make sure you check us out on the Black with No Chaser radio channel. It's a lot of dope podcasts on there as well. Make sure you check us out there. And of course, this is brought to you by the Kundi Collection, designs for any state of mind. Of course, you've seen it before. Got a little Africa right here. Mississippi. It's the cradle of civilization for black folk in this country. All right. The birthplace of America's music, Mississippi, Little Africa. It's available right now at www.kundicollective.com. That's www.kundicollective.com. Make sure that you are checking it out, and we appreciate you guys for continuing to support us. So we're here. Almost didn't make it here, but we are here. I was getting down to the last second. If you're checking us out right now on this fine Tuesday evening, you know we drop at 7:00, and you know we almost didn't make it because it has been a tumultuous weekend, to say the least, for the Franklin family and for
the city
and the surrounding areas of Jackson. If you are listening to us from some other places here in the country or in the world or other parts of the state, we had some really bad weather to come through last weekend on Friday. As a matter of fact, early Friday morning, we were awakened.
And the weekend before that.
As a matter of fact. Wow, that's crazy, because the Saturday before that, it was a storm and the lights went out and we were without lights for the better part of a day. It came on the next morning. They came and fixed them. We made it through the entire week. And then on Friday at 5:30 a.m., awakened by the sounds of, straight on winds.
One of us awakened.
Yeah, I was about to say, my wife completely slept through it. As a matter of fact, she texted me when she woke up, I think at about 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and she was like, "Hey, the lights are out." And I was like, yeah, they've been out for hours, man. I've been up here for hours trying to figure out what we're going to do with this heat. Because the heat.
Did it storm again?
Yes, the heat index was upwards, of course. It's the summertime in Mississippi. It was up over 100. Yeah. So immediately when the electricity and the power goes out, you're trying to figure out how to make this as comfortable of a situation as possible. Of course, we've got the little one here. We've got the new fur baby in the house, Rocco T'Challa Franklin. And I was fast at it, trying to figure out what we needed to do to make this as comfortable as possible. So I'd been up and trying to figure things out for about 3 or 4 hours. And then while I was out, purchasing some extension cords and some other things, my wife texted me and was like, "Hey, the power's out." She had just rolled over and she missed it. It was a really bad storm. I was looking at it through the window in the bathroom because I actually kind of get up to go to the bathroom around 5:30, maybe 4:30 every day. And I was looking out the window and I was just watching the weather, and it was crazy. It was like straight line winds coming through the backyard, and you couldn't really see at first. And then as the light of day came along, there's still a lot of branches. I was actually looking out in the backyard yesterday when I took Rocco out to use the bathroom. It's a lot of limbs back there.
Yeah, I would like to go back there and kind of clean them up, but with this weather, who knows? It might come again. I don't know.
Oh yeah, so you have been out with him, so you did actually get a chance to see him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a couple of limbs out there that I was saying to myself, like, okay, this limb was pretty big. Like, had they gone in another direction, it could have gone through a window. It could have gone through, because we got the patio window right here.
But thank God it didn't.
Yeah. Got a lot of trees back here. Like, so, in the light of day, when you go out and you see the aftermath of a storm, I remember going out and driving out in the aftermath of Katrina, when Katrina came through Jackson. And we were together then for that matter, but it was a lot worse, of course. But I remember driving out and it looking like the apocalypse had hit. It was completely dark. There were trees. Some people were blocked in and couldn't even get off of their street because trees had been uprooted. And that happened this time. A lot of people lost their lives, but it was an adventure. So we were without power for the better part of 3 days. It wasn't as long as it was with Katrina, but we were without power for 3 days. Luckily, after, of course, doing a little research previously, made a very, very good investment in a generator. One of the best investments that I think I've made. I'm pretty proud of myself for getting a generator. I'm also proud of my portable tire inflator too as well. Those are two of the best purchases that I have made as a grown-up in my entire life. Top 5. That tire inflator has been a lifesaver, and this generator was actually a lifesaver because we were able to fire the generator up, and it took a little bit to kind of figure it out. The Franklins did figure out that we need to have a contingency plan and a storm plan and a no power plan and a no Wi-Fi plan. We had to figure it out. And by day 3, we had a really good plan in effect because incidentally, the lights came back on at like noon on Sunday, and then they went back out again.
4 hours.
We had it for 4 hours.
And we wasn't even home for 2 of those hours.
Yes.
We were so eager to get out and check on people and make sure our family and everything was together that we, took a ride. It was a nice day.
Yeah, it was. And some people still didn't have power. Some people, as we speak right now, as this broadcast is airing right now, some people still don't have power. And it's
we
a bad
don't have internet.
Yeah, well, we've got internet now.
Huh?
Yeah, we got internet. Didn't you just hear me? Before we even started.
Baby, I don't be listening to you.
I've gathered that, which is cool because I don't be listening to you all the time.
I learned it from you, actually.
Well, that's good.
You taught me how to do that.
You are mastering it. Let me tell you. I tell you
that.
Yay!
Yeah, that's cool.
You didn't even take a look at the TV when you came back here.
I did not.
I actually, when I came in and went in the room, I don't think you even know that I left and I went all the way to Ridgeland to the Xfinity store to get a modem.
You did?
Yeah. I've actually left the house and I was gone for a couple of minutes. I got in here, the modem was not plugged up, and rage just filled up inside of me because after all of this time without having lights, and I get in here and now Xfinity, which was lollygagging, by the way, I'm actually considering changing the service, but they said that the internet was back on, and I get back in here and the modem has been shot. Doesn't even plug up, didn't even power on. So couldn't even.
How could that happen?
It was lightning, maybe, the power going out, maybe it shorted. I don't know what it is, but the modem wasn't coming on at all.
Oh.
So that's why I was saying not in range. So that's why it wasn't up. So apparently at some point today, earlier, the internet came back on. When I called you actually earlier and I was like, hey, check it. I got the notice that it was back on and it wasn't working. And when I got here, tried to plug it up, didn't come on. And I was filled with anger. And I left it.
You really got to learn how to manage that a little bit better. You be getting beside yourself. You get out of your body.
I don't like things out of sorts. I don't like things out of sorts. When things are out of sorts, it gets me out of sorts.
So the thing about that is, and I understand your normal reaction is going to be what it's going to be, but you get a good 2-3 minutes to be in that reaction, and then you have to ask yourself a question. Can I do anything about this or not?
True.
And once you answer that question, then you let your energy go towards the answer to the question.
And that's what happened. I left and went to the Xfinity store. And
but what if it wasn't nothing you could have done?
I guess we would have done what we've been doing for the past couple of days.
That's right. And it would have been fine.
Burning up hotspot and watching our iPad in the bed like we were on a picnic or something.
You know, while we're talking about this storm, I want to mention, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't. I want to mention that, you know, it's really easy for people to go to the negative. And I'm not poo-pooing that. I think that has its place. We all are human. We have reaction to things. Yeah. But, you know, I've been staying off social media since this storm because I really just cannot manage all of the negative rhetoric. It just does something to me. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I come in and pop in and say what I got to say. And I don't mean to come off like I'm just sitting over here like, la, 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 it's a beautiful day. No, I'm, you know, in my feelings about it too. In fact, the city's energy is so low. It was so low. I think that it was Juneteenth weekend that picked it back up, citywide.
I think it was.
Because it really got better for just the energy in the city.
And it still didn't really help in a lot of instances because there were still some people that were in
I don't mean in no like individual way or in a neighborhood way. I just mean collectively. Yeah. You know, I think the ancestors were busy making rounds this weekend, and I think that they left us some good energy because I went on today and things were, even though there are people who still are not fully restored, the energy seems better. People are talking about other things besides lights and storms and things like that. So I just wanted to say that, you know, if you can get a minute to just take a breath and breathe in the situation and take some stock into what you actually have instead of what you don't have, then you won't really necessarily find the need to spend so much energy being negative about situations that you really can't do anything about. Like we couldn't make Entergy do any work any faster. We couldn't make the internet come on any faster. Those things were outside of our control. Yeah. So it really didn't do anything but waste energy that you could have been putting into something more positive. Like I came up with 2 or 3 different events that I'm finna get ready to do because I couldn't take clients. You know, lights was off at our office as well. So,
yeah, and the lights were off.
I couldn't even work.
Right.
You know,
I got T-shirt orders that I can't finish because the lights are not on. So we actually got to check on that as well.
We're back on now.
Okay, well, there we go.
Thank God, because I got a full day tomorrow.
Yeah, so, you know, these things happen and you realize that they could actually be worse. You know, there are people who actually lost their lives. There are people who actually had trees go through their roof and through their windows, and they had homes destroyed, and you know, people that, you know, businesses that have been inconvenienced, that don't have power lines that are down. You know, there's still people right now as we're speaking here on Tuesday that have not had power since, since the storm. Then there's some people who, you know, went out, you know, in the second round of storms, which was on Sunday. So, you know, it's been crazy. It's nothing that you can do about Mother Nature. The best that you can do is to be as prepared as you possibly can be. True. I think for us, you know, we've got a regiment now, you know, purchasing.
Oh, it's a whole system. I got blocks of candles and that I'm not going to use because I will light them. But I have a separate stash. We got, you know, solar lighting items and things of that nature. So whatever works for your family, figure that out and, you know, have a plan. Just like you do at work.
As much as you can. You know, generators are expensive. Everybody's not able to do that. You know, we've got Dollar General lamps that are powered by batteries that give off very good light. And we're going to invest in a few more. Extension cords, you know, 50 foot, 25 foot, you know, making sure that you're able to reach everything. So, you know, we can crank that generator up now. We were able to, thankfully, thank God, you know, we were able to power the generator up You know, I have a window AC unit that, you know, I keep. We've got 2 of them. You know, was able to put that in the window, was able to power that up. We was able to keep the refrigerator powered up in enough time to where we didn't lose anything. We lost some cheese, a few other things, but the frozen stuff, you know, we were able to salvage it. We were able to get the refrigerator going. We had a microwave. We had AC in one room, and we had an iPad where, you know, we could stream. So for us, we got it to the point where, you know, we had a plan, and then we're going to get a Wi-Fi box the next time so that we're able to connect with the outside world. But there are a lot of people who aren't able to do that. So just put a contingency plan together for your family when a storm comes through, because you never know, because these people work hard on these lines. And, you know, I was dogging Xfinity out, the cable people. I was dogging them out. And after I got through dogging them out, you know, came back and it was on. So they work hard. And I know it's inconvenient, and people get really upset, and people get mad, and people post. And, you know, it's inconvenient, but understand that it's probably more inconvenient for someone else that's close to you, that's right by you. So there's that on that. Juneteenth was this past weekend as well. Father's Day was this past weekend.
How was Father's Day for you?
Father's Day was nice. I enjoyed it. You know, my wife and the little one, you know, brought me to tears again. The little one brought me to tears again because she's so sweet. But, you know.
She's not always sweet.
She's not always sweet. And, you know, she kind of has my genes. And she kind of acts like her big brother, too, in a way. They're probably more alike than any of those siblings that are there. So she's not real big on affection, and she's not real big on a lot of the rah-rah stuff. But she's very thoughtful and
considerate
at times when she wants to be. She's still a teenager. So, you know, there's that. But it was good. And I think being on Juneteenth weekend, I think it was good. Juneteenth on Farish went well. Again, the 7th year, celebrating culture on the historic Farish Street District in Jackson, Mississippi. It went very well. We were hosting, as a matter of fact. So, you know, that was great. That was good. Some videos and pictures circulating on the Juneteenth on Farish page. That was cool. And I think the weekend was overall, I think it went well. There were a few hiccups, of course, but those things were not in our control.
Well, I have a question I'd like to run by you.
Sure.
So I'm noticing that several businesses did not close for Juneteenth, although it is a federal holiday.
Right.
So I'm wondering what your thoughts on. I mean, I know it becoming an actual holiday has been new. It's new. Mm-hmm. So maybe they haven't caught on yet. What do you think is happening?
It hasn't. It's relatively new. There's still black people who I'm finding now are just getting familiar with the holiday. It started out as a big thing in Texas. It's a huge thing in Texas. Trickled over to Louisiana, of course, and it has trickled its way over to Mississippi. You know, and from Mississippi, you know, we have a different date. Our date is in May, the day that we found out about our emancipation before it took time for that news to trickle over into Texas. So, you know, we have a different date besides June 19th. Ours is May 8th.
Still coming.
Yeah. May the 8th. Yeah.
It ain't here yet.
Well, you know, there's that too. But it's new. It's a federal holiday. You know, some offices were closed. A lot of people were not closed. And of course, we know that a lot of people did not close just out of pure racial spite, racism. They're not going to recognize it. They don't want to recognize it. And you know what? If you're not black, I don't expect you to understand it. This is about black folks' emancipation. This is about the moment that we were freed from the bondage of government-sanctioned slavery. You know, this was not just a bunch of white guys that got together and said, we're going to do this. This was a government-sanctioned action, government-sanctioned slavery that we were emancipated from. And it's our Emancipation Day. It's not here to compete with the 4th of July. at all. If you choose to celebrate the 4th of July, that's cool. It's a day off. You're going to get to drink. You're going to get to do all the good stuff that you get to do on the 4th of July. But that is not the emancipation of black people. On the 4th of July in 1776, black people were still very much slaves. We were really slaves in 1776.
Super
duper slaves in 1776. So that's not our Independence Day. That is the Independence Day for white folk in this country, not for minorities and not for black folk, not for any other race of people that was here in this country. That's not our Emancipation Day. That's not our Independence Day. For us, it's just turned into another reason for us to gather with our families and to enjoy, barbecue and drinks and, talking shit.
And being off work. If you're going to let us off.
If you're going to let us off, we're going to be off. And if, I saw some people there are those white people, and these are not all white folks, okay? When I say this, and preface this by saying I'm never generalizing a group of people, but there were some white people who reveled in the fact, made a big deal of the fact that, I went to work today. I had it off and I went to work today.
You should have went to work today.
Just in defiance. And yes, you
should have went to work.
There was no reason for you to be off. But I bet you will. I bet you'll take it at some point, just like we take the 4th of July. We understand that the 4th of July is not for us. We understand that, but we're going to take it off. We're never going to.
They may as well have just been saying, I am a racist. Mm-hmm. I didn't take off for work today.
Yeah, so,
But you call them a racist and they got a problem.
Yes, and, identifying racism is not racism. So you can't call us racist because we are identifying your racism. That's not exactly how that works. But if you decided that you want to go to work and you want to make this defiant statement, if you are a white person and you went to work, good, because that's where you should go, because this day is not for you. This is the emancipation.
And we're not asking for your permission to celebrate.
Or approval at all whatsoever. We're not asking for your permission or your approval. We don't give a damn about what you think about it. If you think it's made up, if you think it's something that, is not valid, if you think
we
it's something
shouldn't have our own separate celebration, whatever it is that you think, we don't care.
We don't give a damn.
I need you to look into my eyes. Don't care at all.
Because it is a federal holiday now. We're going to take it off. And as far as the state of Mississippi is concerned, it's not recognized. Maybe the bill will go through in our legislature to make it a holiday for everybody in the state of Mississippi. Well, the Confederate holiday still stands.
Of course.
And there are some people who get off of the Confederate holiday. So if you have that holiday, of course, I don't see how in the world you're not going to be able to give Juneteenth off. I'm really interested, because I know that bill is probably going to be presented. I'm really interested in seeing what the conversations are going to be behind that, because it's Mississippi, and, Mississippi is going to do what Mississippi does at the end of the day. But we'll see how that happens. So happy Juneteenth to everyone, and I hope you celebrated well, and I hope you celebrated it as hard as you did on Cinco de Mayo and St. Patrick's Day. And if you didn't, and you didn't know about it, shame on you. You need to learn. You learn about your history. I
wish folks would stop saying, y'all celebrated on Cinco de Mayo. You need to celebrate on Juneteenth. Y'all celebrated on this. And listen, stop. Good Lord have mercy. Just stop. The only charge we have, if we know, is to teach. That's it. You can't judge. You can't pass judgment on people for what they do. Let them folks do what they do. If you somehow feel connected to them not celebrating in the same fashion, then use that same post where you're getting on there talking about them not celebrating to educate them on why Juneteenth is important.
Yeah.
How about that?
It's important. Use it as a teachable moment, because everybody doesn't know. There are literally people who are saying and posting, I just didn't know about it. It has not made the rounds yet.
And some of them do know, but don't understand how significant and how important it is.
Yeah.
So it's always an opportunity to make people aware, especially if you know. Once you know, then it's your responsibility to educate. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
So it's doing no good for you to come on and just kind of be, all shady with your comments. Like, that's not beneficial to anybody, and nobody cares. Nobody's going to not celebrate because you made your post. So.
It's true. So, and there it is. So, you definitely said you want to talk about this Dr. Umar thing. I'm not one of Dr. Umar's biggest fans. I feel like he's a grifter and a charlatan. I feel like he's taking donations from a lot of people. I don't think that school is going to ever open. He says that it is, but that money has been sitting in GoFundMe for a long time. They froze it at one time and wouldn't even let him get to it because it's been several years. So, he's put up these posts about the building's going to be here. We're going to put it here, put it there. So let me just say that in most instances, probably 85% of the time, I'm not a fan. However, there are instances where I see clips of Dr. Umar Johnson where I agree with what he says. A broken clock is right at least twice a day. And he hit the mark recently on this post that's making the rounds. He was asked about the black man's responsibility in building community. He was on another one of those super machismo, super uber masculine young fella podcast where, of course, he had a problem with the women that have kids. Why do you women have kids? You expect us to love you because you have kids, and you expect us to do this, and you expect us to do that. And, basically, we hate black women. That's what I hear whenever I see these podcasts. And, wow. And I also hear we're not having any sex with women also. That's what I hear in the
baby, why it gotta be that?
They can't be smashing. They can't be, because they hate black women so bad. They want them to be absolutely perfect while presenting themselves in an imperfect package themselves.
Maybe they love themselves so much that they don't know how to love black women. Or maybe they don't have the experience of the black woman
I don't think any of these dudes is fucking. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't think any of them are. And if they are, they're dating somebody that's probably really not smart enough to understand that they're dating a narcissist or a guy that has some unresolved trauma or whatever the case is. At any rate, of course, on this particular podcast, the guy was again trying to blame black women for the state of the black race, and Umar challenged it. And actually, he cooked Buddy. He cooked him. And I could not disagree with what Umar said. And I watched it, and I was like, oh, my God, I agree with every part of it. I agreed all the way to the end. I won't say that I would hit the donate button for that school that's never going to materialize. But, hey, he was on point, and I sent it to you, and you said you definitely have some thoughts on it. So I want to hear what your thoughts were.
Well, actually, I was just kind of messing with you because you think I don't know what you think, but I thought
you lean conservative sometimes.
A lot of times.
Yeah.
But I agreed with him too. What I like, though, is that he was using that opportunity to teach and educate these young black men. Mm-hmm. So while one person may look at this as him defending black women,
they said that man was pandering.
It didn't even necessarily come across as that to me. It came across as a elder, so to say, spitting game to a young brother. That's what it looked like to me. And I think that you may ask him on another day and not get that conversation, but for the day and for the purposes of where he was and who he was talking to, he spit game to them brothers and let them understand that the reason why black women are in the situation that they are in is because we have had to step up and be in position of the black man. So now that women are more masculine and independent and don't need a man, now it's our fault. But you, black man, put us in that position to where we had to do what black women have been doing since the creation of time, which is make no way out of no way, survive. We have been in survival mode for generations. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that our black man was not there. Not all because of his own fault.
For several reasons.
He was just not there.
Right.
So the black woman had to be woman, man, God, everything to her children, her community, her church, her family. She had to be all of that. So you don't put the blame on us for rising to the occasion. Take ownership of the failures and mishaps, because all of it was not intentional and we didn't create it. It's systematic, a lot of it.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I don't know if the charge or the question should even be whose fault is it that the black race is where it is, because the answer to that is not black man or black woman, because all of our actions are reactionary. They are a result of something else. So I agree with what he was saying as well.
I mean, first of all, you have to, go back and you have to learn the causes for the effects. There's always a cause and effect. You have to have the discussion. And if you saw the clip in its entirety, he said, you can't have this discussion without discussing the systemic issues that took place to put black men in the position that they were in.
By design.
By design, the systemic issues that were there. Those systemic issues are the issues that caused the black man in a lot of instances to be absent from his home. Those systemic issues are the cause of the black man not being able to be good fathers in their home. Those systemic issues are the cause. Okay. And the reaction in our community with a lot of black men, that reaction in our community is what has caused women to react in the way that they have reacted. They were forced to have to step up and be the mothers and fathers in these households because the men were not present. What Umar challenged these brothers to do is to be accountable.
Take
ownership in the fact that, yes, it's going to take a concerted effort from both men and women to fix what ails us in the black community. But there's a specific and a special responsibility that falls upon the black man in the community. And we have to be cognizant of that fact, and we have to not be scared to look at that fact. He said some things that really struck a nerve with me. He said, y'all are talking about these women that don't have men in the homes. He said, go to their home. Knock on the door and say, hey, how many sons do you have? And go to that home and get those boys and couple them with your kids and your boys and take mentorship of these young men and make sure that they have men in their lives. And I thought about that and I was like, wow, that is what needs to happen. But I also thought of it from the fact of, I don't even know I would have the time or the wherewithal to do that. It's a very, very deep thing that you would have to do. Mentorship is not something easy. Going into these communities and going to these fatherless homes with these kids, with these single moms, and telling this mother, I am going to take a mentorship role in your son's life. I'm going to come over here and check his homework. I'm going to be here to
go to his games.
I'm going to be here to make sure that he's doing what he's supposed to do and take on the straight and narrow and go to the father and son. Like, actually putting a male figure. A lot of these black men did not have that in their lives, and they did not have that male figure, and it created this generation of these milquetoast ass super machismo dudes that host these podcasts that's not smashing, that think the women are supposed to be perfect, and that think that the women are masculine because they paying the bills in their house and taking care of their household. They're masculine because the women take leadership roles, and because the women are taking care of themselves and say that they don't need a man, they say that they're acting masculine. That's not acting masculine. That's taking a leadership role that a lot of you black men have run from in our community. You run from being fathers. You have run from being mentors. You have run from being leaders in your community. And black women, who are the backbone of black folks, have had to endure your absence in the household. They had to step up because you were not there. No, it was not because of welfare. Yes, we know welfare said, okay, well, if you have a male in the household with you that lives in the household with you, you can't be on welfare. Women did not choose for black men to not be in the household. I was having a debate with somebody on Twitter, and they were saying, women chose welfare over black men. No, they didn't. Welfare didn't step up, and they didn't say to themselves, well, as a black woman, I got to make a choice. I got to either kick this man out of my house or I got to be on welfare.
Well, that was by design too.
And that was by design.
Because it was breaking up the black family intentionally. Mm-hmm. Either you got your man or you feed your children.
That's it.
That was a systematic tactic.
And if the man is in the household and he's not able to take care of that household, what are you going to do? You got a man in the household that's we're not making a living wage. He's either being lazy, he's either not working, or he either does not have the skills to make a living wage. We over here struggling. Okay, so I'm supposed to let my kids struggle when there's this program that's developed right here that says that, XYZ can happen if you apply for welfare. That's not saying they went to the man and say, hey, you got to leave and I got to kick you out on the street so that I can get this welfare. What else was going to happen? You're going to leave the man in the home and the kids not be provided for and the household not be provided for? Or are you going to try to make a way out of no way and get your family up out of poverty? Not to stay there, not to stay on welfare, but to try to give yourself a leg up out of poverty. And that existed because systemically the black man had been beat down at that point. Okay. The prison industrial complex, the drugs that were pumped into the communities, the disparate treatment between the disparate treatment of black folk by law enforcement. We're talking about redlining. We're talking about gentrification. We're talking about all these things that happen systemically that exist that just beat down black men to the point where,
generation after generation. So what's happening with women now is a product of all of that. That's not black women's fault. These are systemic issues that we're talking about, and to blame that on black women who have multiple kids, or to blame that on black women that you're saying are being masculine because they're stepping up and leading their household, that just proves how oblivious to history. And I'm glad that Umar gave them a history lesson, you know what I'm saying, and told them about, what happened with desegregation, told them about what happened in Brown versus the Board of Education, told them about what happened in these instances where these policies were created that were detrimental to black folk, that created this system that went in. Black folk don't get up every day with criminality on their mind. There was another part of this conversation where they were talking about Pookie and Ray Ray and what do Pookie and Ray Ray need to do. And why do we have Pookies and Ray Rays in the black community? Because again, that was another dumbass statement to make about black men. Black men do not wake up every day with criminality on their mind. They don't wake up with criminal intent. Black kids are not out here waking up every day saying, hey, I want to go out and kill another black kid. I want to go out and rob and steal. I want to go out and be a criminal. Black people are not genetically predisposed to crime, as some white racists would try to explain. That's not innately in our DNA. That's not innately what we feel. Those things happen because of conditions that exist in our communities and in our neighborhoods. So you have to look at these systemic issues, and it's a real crazy thing. But, I'm glad that he responded like he responded. He'll probably say something tomorrow that I completely don't agree with. But for this particular thing, shouts out to Dr. Umar for setting these gentlemen straight. And I think if a lot of younger guys kind of understand history, they'll get out of this. But, I told you on a previous podcast, I got a real problem with these young podcasters. They're in their late 20s, maybe early 30s, and they've got these podcasts where they get on here and they just talk about women all day long and what they're not doing, and they're this and they're that, and all of the responsibility is being put on the women. The women have their issues as well, but they're putting all their responsibility on women. And again, I challenge you guys, go find the loving arms of a soft feminine woman so that you can know what that feels like. Touch grass, do something where, you can release some of that trauma and some of that hurt that you've had, through middle school and high school or whatever it is. I want you to go, and I want you to go get some sex is what I want you to do. Cause y'all hate black women. Y'all hate them. No one that loves black women talks about women in that fashion, in the fashion that some of you bloggers do and some of the stuff that you people do. And that's not pandering at all. That's not trying to be a pick-me. I've already been picked, as you can see. I have my beautiful bride, and we have been married for 13 years, so I'm not trying to be a pick-me, and I'm not trying to pander to women at all. I have the woman that I want to spend the rest of my life with. I'm just telling you, as you get older, this is how you respect and love on black women.
This is what you need to do. And this is what needs to happen more in the community. You know what I'm saying? And stop being a jackass, pretty much, at the end of the day. So that's me. You got anything else?
I think you summed it up pretty well.
I summed it up pretty well.
Yeah.
Incidentally, real quick, did you see the TD Jakes clip that I sent you?
Did.
About childless people and women telling men how to be fathers. What are your thoughts on that? In the light of us, post-Father's Day.
I think he had a good point as well.
2 for 2. 2 for 2.
I'm not a big fan of either of those men, actually.
I will agree in a lot of instances.
I think he made a good point too. He seemed to be quite irritated. As a matter of fact,
it seems like he's had that conversation before.
Seemed a little personal to me, but he clearly had some people in the audience who were amazed or shocked or something. I heard a couple of gasps when he was talking, but
most people in TD Jakes crowd, they always act like they are just taken aback.
I don't want to take anything away from, like, for instance, I know plenty of women who have not given birth, who are very nurturing by nature.
True.
And who know how to take care of children and who can give you insight. However, I don't think that you need to be, grandstanding about that. You tell the people who ask you what your thought process is. But there's really seriously no way to know if you have not had that experience. I tell people all the time, talking about what I do for a living, I don't know how in the world I would be able to guide anybody towards anything with light if I had not been in darkness. So you gotta have both, So in order for you to be able to tell me what to do with my child, you would need to have experienced it.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you're going to be kind of speaking from some bystanding position that you have experienced. And I'm not taking away from what you're saying. It could be true, but
perhaps
it could not be as well.
In most instances, it's not, because you just have not been in that position before. It's like somebody trying to tell Tom Brady how to be a quarterback. You have not been in those trenches before and had 6'8", 260-pound men chasing you with full pads on, and you standing in the pocket throwing a pass. You can't tell him about being a quarterback. You can't,
even if you on the field, even if you're a linebacker, you can't tell him how to quarterback.
You can't do it.
Only another quarterback can tell.
That's it, and that's just. I'm sorry. That's just it. If you have not had a child, if you have not bore children, if you have not raised kids into adulthood, you cannot tell me how to parent and how to be a father. You can't. You can give some suggestions, but you ain't been in them trenches, dog. And if you are not married, single people, you cannot give married people advice. You might be some of the smartest people in the world, but if you're single, you can't give me advice on what it means to be married. You can give me some advice on what I need to do individually as a person in my particular instance, but you ain't been in them trenches, dog, so you don't know.
You can give the advice, but you have to understand that it's from limited experience.
Very limited experience.
So, as long as you know that, that's cool.
Yeah.
But that's the end all be all for that for me.
And that's just it. And that's not being mean, and that's not, being rude, but it is what it is. You can't tell me if you have not experienced what I've experienced and you have not been in those trenches, because you don't know how people react. You talk about that all the time when you talk about being in an abusive relationship, and people tell you, well, you should have left, or you should have got out, you should have did this and you should have did that. If you've never been in that position before, and you've said this, if you've never been in that position before, you cannot tell someone how they should have reacted.
Absolutely.
Because everyone that you talk to that has been in an abusive relationship will tell you that it's not as easy as it looks. Correct. On the surface to be able to. And
everybody's enough button is not the same.
That's it.
Just like when a child passes through a mother, that connection is never going to be the same with any other child. Mm-hmm. There is something different that happens. So even if you are a parent, it's still going to be difficult for you to tell me how to parent mine. That's because my child is my child. My child is of me. So you can tell me what you did with your child, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to fit the situation for me and my child and our connection. So, I mean, I think there is room for the village. I think the village has its place, and I think that we should respect our village. I think we don't do enough respecting the village, but we also need to come from a place of humility. Some people out there think you need to listen to them because they make good sense to themselves in their brain.
So they self.
Yes.
In the mirror.
And that's not necessarily always the case. We don't always need to hear from you. I need to know from somebody who has been where I'm trying to go.
Yeah, that's it. And on that note, we appreciate you guys for tuning in with us. Okay.
That's empty.
Cup's empty. That means it's the end of the show. If the cup's empty, there it is. We appreciate you guys for tuning in with us here on another episode of According to Kaz and Queen. All right. I want you guys to keep tuning in and keep supporting. Follow us on all social media platforms, of course. And if you got an event or a panel or something coming up and you need some of this sauce that Kaz and Queen bring to your event, holla at us, man. We out here. All right. So, of course, I'm Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
This is According to Kaz and Queen. We'll holla at you guys next time. All right. Peace out.
Peace.